Well, good afternoon. I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Wednesday, March the 13th. We're having some technical difficulties and don't know yet if this will make Facebook or not, but I'm going to plow ahead anyway. The big news is at the legislature again today, and it's again more evidence that the Arkansas legislature didn't have a good civics lesson about the state's motto, Reg Not Populus, the people rule. It's something of a clandestine committee meeting late last night, or late in the early evening, unusual for legislative time, with almost no debate and with very few people present. A House committee pushed out a couple of bills by a Northwest Arkansas Republican legislator, Robin Lunston, to roll back the minimum wage increases approved by voters just 4 months ago. She'd exempt minors from the bill, people under 20, small businesses, which are most of the businesses in Arkansas, nonprofit institutions, students, that sort of thing. Some minor amendments, but it's still a sweeping rollback of the minimum wage amendment. Experts in the law think she may have even rolled back the law entirely to $7.25 an hour, where it ought to be $9.25 an hour. It was a breathtaking exercise of rejection of the people's popular will. There ought to be political blowback. There'll be a rally at noon tomorrow at the Capitol. The state Democratic Party is making noises. This is being pushed by Republican legislators on behalf of the corporate interests in Arkansas that just do not like the popular initiative process, and more on that later. Other news that developed late yesterday was of the assignment of a new school voucher bill, $3 million worth the first time. Sponsor includes Jim Hendrens, the governor's nephew, so you can figure the kind of clout it has behind it. This will open the door to a very slippery slope to an enormous explosion of school vouchers in Arkansas. That's what happened in Florida, where it's now a billion-dollar industry and it is unregulated by the state, and scandals have been aplenty. Also, speaking of the popular initiative, in the Senate committee this morning, Cecile Bledsoe passed one bill and seems on her way to passing another to curb the medical marijuana law. She wants to make it harder to provide medical marijuana in edible and drinkable form. She's amended the bill to make it discourage packaging of items that appeal to children, but it's still an incursion. Some people need to take this medicine by drinkable or eatable form. She also wants to put limits on advertising the product. Everything they can do to stop medical marijuana from reaching people, they're going to try to do within the limits possible. Interesting vote or non-vote this morning in the House. They attempted to table Charles Blake's bill to remove the Confederacy as a symbol on the Arkansas flag. Some neoconservative legislators from Jonesboro, Jack Ladyman first among them, were behind this effort. The effort to table the bill, thus kill it, for the legislative session failed. The vote was 4-4. 12 people took a walk. 12 courageous Republicans didn't want to be heard on whether they were for or against the symbol of slavery on the Arkansas flag. The Civil War isn't far behind us. There's news on the petition front. Popular initiatives such as marijuana and minimum wage made it to the ballot and passed thanks to the people in 2018. The vested interests don't like that very much. It can mess with their lives somewhat. So among the things they've done this session is remove from Attorney General Leslie Rutledge's office the approval of ballot title forms. David Couch, who's done a lot of initiative work in Arkansas, says she's formally notified him that a law that took effect last week takes that out of her hands and puts it in the Secretary of State's office. It'll begin a new process. They've made the certification of petition signatures even harder, and if Keith Ingram of West Memphis, who's a reliable representative of corporate interests in the legislature, has his way, they'll go to the ballot next year, an amendment that would just about kill popular initiatives by putting control of them in the hands of the legislature, where among the other things they could do is outlaw paid canvassing, which is about the only way you can get these things on the ballot now. Any other news? Well, there is some good news if you're a believer in medical marijuana. They've approved a second cultivation license among the 5 that have been approved. We took a visit yesterday to one of the facilities in northeast Arkansas, and Leslie Peacock reports that the marijuana is growing and flourishing, and before long, perhaps it'll be available for easing the pain of people in Arkansas who are qualified to receive it. Other news, yesterday we saw anti-tax sentiment in Arkansas. In Fort Smith, voters turned down a temporary sales tax to pay for a Marshall's Museum. And in Benton County, voters turned down a sales tax to build a new courthouse. What does this mean for Asa Hutchinson's hope that voters will approve a sales tax for highway construction and sit kindly about his raised fuel tax increases? Don't know yet. You can't always translate local votes to state votes. But the sentiment, at least yesterday in Arkansas, was anti-tax. A former ICE officer, that's Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer who worked in Little Rock has blown the whistle on what's apparently some widespread forgery of supervisors' signatures on arrest warrants for suspected illegal immigrants. He says people just do this as a way around the difficulty of finding supervisors in time to review and sign warrants within the 48-hour waiting period in which you can hold somebody before you have to let them go. You know, we're a nation of laws, but not so much maybe when it comes to immigration enforcement and the Trump administration. That's among several things that are worth resisting. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back tomorrow.